The news doesn't end here. Huel Perkins is on the edge.
Working for you. The Edge at 11 starts now.
It was just that much from death.
To be that close, you know, to know that you were just an inch away from not even being here anymore.
Less than an inch away from death. That woman says that's how close she came to being hit by a wayward bullet. On the edge tonight, an extremely close call. A woman was sleeping in bed when a bullet came crashing through, nearly killing her. And it was fired by a guy who had no business having a gun in the first place. Fox News' Andrea Isom live now in Hazel Park with the story. Andrea.
Huel, we found out that this guy is a convicted felon and he shouldn't have a firearm in the first place, and police say it was an assault rifle. Now, what happened with this gun did not kill anybody or seriously hurt anyone, and we're thankful for that. But it did a lot of damage, a whole lot of damage that cannot be repaired.
I was sitting in my bed.
It was Sunday night, and 72-year-old Glenna Tucker was not all tucked in, but she was comfy inside the comfort of her Hazel Park home.
And I'm knitting.
Knitting, when suddenly she and her son
Heard the noise.
I heard the gunshot.
It was boom, bang.
I didn't know he'd come into the house until I got out here into the hallway and heard her yelling.
Oh my God, I've been shot.
I was a mess. You know, I didn't know. And I didn't know if there was going to be more shots fired either.
Herman hurried to get his mom to the hallway to safety so he could get a good look at her.
Something hit me. I don't know what hit me.
It was plaster, particles, and debris from where a bullet came barreling through her home from the outside in. And boy, did it hurt.
It was a 720 grain bullet.
And that's big time.
That's big time. That's like a 3-inch cartridge.
But get this, here is where it gets real. Mrs. Tucker's head was just an inch away from this hole. If she would have been shot, it could have blown her head off. Hard to hear, I know, but true.
It was the one she was laying against. It went in there. Come out here and you can actually see her hair where it clipped her hair off.
It's a real strange feeling to know that you were just, it was just that much from death.
Had she been just a little further over, it would be a completely different news story right now.
So where did the bullet come from? It wasn't a drive-by. The Tuckers tell us it came from their neighbor's gun. Published reports say 35-year-old Joshua Humphreys was arrested and charged with pulling the trigger.
It's the size of a baseball on the side of his house, and it just peeled the aluminum siding back like a can opener.
But God's not ready for me to join him.
No, ma'am, he's not.
It went through his closet, through the clothes in his closet,
Out the wall and traveled between the houses.
through her bedroom wall, across the bedroom and into the dresser, where it lodged into a tape recorder.
I know that the dear Lord just really took good care of me. And I'm so thankful.
We went next door to see if the neighbors had anything to say about what happened.
I will talk to you when I have an attorney. Thank you.
Herman does not want to believe that his mom would be the intended target. He thinks the gun blast was an accident.
He said he was cleaning it. There hadn't been anything going on between us, no arguments or fights.
But Mrs. Tucker says, whatever the case may be, she has not shaken the fear of what happened to her, and she doesn't know if she ever will. Feeling safe in her own home may have been shattered.
And I'm scared. I'm scared of them. I'm just scared now, just scared. People make you scared,
It's such a shame. Isn't it sad to see her feeling that way? Nobody should have to live with that kind of fear. Now, Mrs. Tucker is scared because something happened to her that she never thought would. Her son has gone and rearranged her bedroom, hoping that it will help so it doesn't look exactly like it did on Sunday night. Huel.
Well, Andrea, the people next door didn't want to talk about this. Did they at least try to express some remorse to the neighbors?
Well, we're told that the young woman you saw in the video that slammed the door in our face, she did come over and she said she was sorry for what happened. And the suspect again is saying this was an accident. He said he was cleaning that weapon when it accidentally discharged. Huel?
Point is, he should never have had the weapon to begin with.
And he knew better.
Bottom line. Andrea, thank you. Other news tonight, a DTE crew finds a human skeleton on Detroit's east side. The bones were found in a wooded area on Minnesota Street near Greeley. Investigators say it's apparently an adult. There was no clothing, no identification found nearby. Neighbors are horrified by the discovery.
It was scary. It's very surprising, too, because sometimes you see stuff like this, and then when it happens in your own neighborhood, it's very, very terrifying.
The medical examiner now working to identify the remains. Right now it's unclear if they belong to a man or a woman. Investigators are working to see if the remains are connected to anyone who's been reported missing. It's a story that has outraged our viewers. A man brutally beaten and robbed in a Detroit party store as other customers do nothing to stop it. The victim, 45-year-old Carl Bell, died from his injuries. Now a father and his teenage son are charged with his death. That father, 39-year-old Reginald Sturgis, faced a judge today. He's charged with second-degree murder. Investigators say that Sturgis and his 15-year-old son were shopping in that party store when they started arguing with the victim. That quickly turned into a deadly fight. The man's 15-year-old son is also charged with second-degree murder, but as a juvenile. The teenager will go to court over the weekend. Disturbing video of an armed robbery at a Waterford liquor store. This surveillance video is from Anthony's Party Shop on Williams Lake Road. At first, the two employees inside didn't believe the suspect had a real gun. But their opinions quickly changed after he fired a shot into the wall right above their heads. They ran out of the store and called police as the robber emptied the cash register and got away with over $1,000. He's the substitute teacher, accused of letting an East Point student drown during a swim lesson. For the first time, we're hearing his side of the story. 24-year-old Jonathan Sales is charged with involuntary manslaughter for the November death of 14-year-old Kier Swift. Swift was swimming in the East Detroit High School pool when he went under. But instead of coming to the boy's aid, prosecutors say that Sales went to the locker room first to change into his swimming trunks. His lawyer claims that Sales did everything he could to save the teen.
I have had a chance to get to discovery from the prosecutor's office, and I've had a chance to look at the witness statements. I've had a chance to look at video footage that corroborates most of the witness statements. And from that information, it's clear that Jonathan was the first person in the pool. There's no question about that. That is absolute fact that Jonathan was the first one that jumped into the pool.
Now, Sales' defense attorney says another teacher should have been in the pool area helping to watch the students. Meanwhile, Kier's mother, Lakeisha Smith, has also filed a civil suit against the school district for gross negligence in the death of her son. Well, a gaping reminder of just how bad the potholes are this season. This massive crater on I-75 over the Rouge River Bridge, so big you can see right through the concrete to the ground below. It took crews all day to patch that hole, but it's just a temporary fix to a much larger problem. Dozens of roads that are crumbling and need a repair right now. The winter has been so brutal, many counties have already burned through their budgets. MDOT says even with extra money from the state, it still won't be enough to fix all those potholes. Well, reminder, we're just 12 hours away from the official start of spring. The Weather Authority, Jessica Starr here now in for Rich to show us what's ahead. Jessica.
I know, and real quickly, we're just talking about today, the last day, full day of winter, and you know what? It actually felt very spring-like. We had those rain showers around, periods of showers that were heavy at times, but we managed to make it to 52 degrees this afternoon, and 50 was also the high in Fort Wayne. But don't worry, a cold front's working its way through, reinforcing some colder air right now. Our temperatures have already fallen to 36 degrees right now in Detroit, 34 in Lansing and Benton Harbor, 35 in Coldwater, and 35 currently in Milwaukee. And our temperatures are going to fall down to right around 30 degrees. So there will be a couple slick spots. Some of the snow that melted away will refreeze overnight tonight. But here's this area of low pressure that did bring us those rain showers. That's pushing off towards the east. And there are a couple light snow showers on the west side of the state. So we could see a couple wet snowflakes mixed in overnight tonight, but not expecting any accumulation. The big weather story really is just going to be our dramatic temperature drop from where we're at today till tomorrow. On average, not really filtering in just yet, but off towards the west, about a 10 to 15 degree temperature drop is heading our way. We've had some strong gusty winds throughout the daytime today. They're out of the west currently right now, and we're going to continue to stick with the winds and breezy conditions overnight until start our Thursday. So this low pressure and cold fronts pushing on out of here behind it. Colder and breezy conditions settling in for the first day of spring that officially arrives at 12:57 tomorrow afternoon. Then we're going to continue, unfortunately, to stay colder with below average temperatures. So the rest of the night, those rain showers are out of here. Could see a couple wet snowflakes by early tomorrow morning. And again, dropping down to 30, staying breezy. Looking ahead tomorrow, 41 degrees, overcast skies, but we could see some peaks of the sunshine later in the day, but noticeably cooler. And then Friday's system, we're looking at a mixed precipitation. We're going to keep our eye on this system. Again, a little bit of some wet snow and also some rain showers mixed in. Not expecting a ton of accumulation, but could possibly see a half-inch of accumulation. But once that system gets out of here, we're headed for a stretch of some dry weather, but cold temperatures too. They're going to struggle and stay hovering in the 30s. Let's look at your forecast. Huel, over to you.
Jessica, thank you. As the feds investigate GM over faulty ignition switches, a local man has filed a class action lawsuit against the company. A Dearborn resident, Adnan Jawad, owns a 2007 Chevy Cobalt, one of several models involved in that massive recall. Now, he wasn't hurt in a crash because of the problem, but he says in his lawsuit that GM was negligent and broke their warranty agreement by not disclosing the ignition flaw sooner. By the way, if you have a car recalled because of that ignition problem, you might get a letter soon asking you to join that class action lawsuit. Meanwhile, the automaker may have to deal with yet another recall. The feds are investigating whether GM should recall the Saturn Ion. Now, this one is about a defect involving the power steering motors, which could stop working without warning. There have been more than 800 complaints about the problem in 2004 and 2007 models of the Ion. And back in 2010, GM issued a recall for the same problem in the Chevy Cobalt. And have you seen this? $1.2 billion. That's what Toyota will pay the feds in a fine, a settlement over safety issues. The automaker admits it misled consumers about unintentional acceleration in some of its cars and trucks and didn't correct the problem soon enough. Many wonder if GM can learn any lessons from Toyota's case.
One of the big things that Eric Holder said is that Toyota kind of covered it up. They didn't look. They were looking around. They covered things up. General Motors should take they should look at this and say, you know what? Whoa, we better admit what we are doing and we made mistakes, admit it now, and then go in there and try to get a settlement.
Well, even with the settlement, Toyota is now on probation and will have to operate under an independent monitor.
I'm Monica Gale. Here are some of the other stories making news in Metro Detroit. Police in Southfield arrest a guy suspected of burglarizing 15 banks, but he didn't go quietly. When officers pulled over 21-year-old Alvin Hall of Detroit on Saturday, he rammed his car into the cruisers and tried to run over the officers. Those officers opened fire, hitting Hall in the arm. He was arrested after a brief chase. He's now behind bars on a $500,000 bond. In Washtenaw County, police release a sketch of a man suspected of stabbing another driver in a case of road rage. The suspect is said to be a heavy-set man, approximately 50 years old, with black, scruffy hair. Police say he may have facial injuries from being punched during an altercation with another driver he'd been tailgating. This happened last Friday night along US 23 in Milan. The suspect was driving a burgundy two-door compact vehicle, possibly a Kia. Eastern Michigan University police are expanding patrols off campus. 6 new police officers were sworn in this month. The added manpower will allow EMU police to patrol neighborhoods surrounding the south, east, and west borders of campus, where most students and staff live. The school will hire more officers later this year and create a second crime response unit that will focus on investigating high-profile crimes.
You're not allowed to smoke in bars or restaurants in Michigan, and for some people, it will soon be forbidden to light up at home.
I think it's ridiculous because as long as, you pay rent, you should have whatever right you want to do. It is in the privacy of your own home.
So do smokers have any rights when their landlord tells them it's time to kick the habit or move out? That story is next on The Edge.